keep yourself on. Thank you, Erin. And as you can see, we're going to be recording the event today. So welcome, everybody. This is our monthly Career Chats Pláticas event. And today we're focusing on internships and business. And I want to just mention that this is a co-sponsorship between MPC, Hartnell, and Gavilan College. So we may have students from all four of those colleges here today. We hope we do, at least. My name is Desha Staley Ratiar. I'm the Director of Career Development. And I have Erin here as our Student Employment Coordinator. She's behind the scenes, but I want to acknowledge her as well. And we're going to just talk about basically an overview of what's going to happen for the session today. I am going to do a poll in just a few minutes. And then I want to talk about career services and what we have to offer here at Cabrillo. And then we're going to dive into our panelists and have them answer some questions that we have set forth for them. So the majority of the time we'll be covering their questions and answers. If you have questions as we're going through this, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we will go through this. We may not do them right when people are speaking. We might see how it goes with the flow, and Erin will help us with that piece as well. And then I want to make sure that everyone's aware of, we have our career month coming up in April. We have 6 career fairs that we're hosting and multiple workshops that students can participate in. And I should add, these are open to the community. These are not just for our students. So anyone is welcome to attend. All right, let's go ahead and Erin, if you could do the poll really quick. This poll is for our students that are here today with us. We'll just give it a few minutes for this. All right, maybe give it about 15 more seconds. All right, Erin, if you want to go ahead and share those results with us, that would be great. All right, so just to get a sense of who's here, so lots of business, which is great. There are a few others, so if you want to share in the chat what those others are, we'd love to hear those as well. And then as far as what people are pursuing, it looks like we have a great combination. So some certificates, some associates, and some that are transferring to a 4-year. All right, thanks everybody. That gives us a good sense of who is here with us. All right, and of course my screen wants to freeze when I go to do that. There we go. All right, so here is just a quick overview of what we offer at Cabrillo. We have a variety of career services available for students. We have a brand new online job board. We've had one in the past, but a new one that we just launched last month, and that is for current students and alumni to utilize. We also offer workshops, and different events like we're doing today. But we offer resume workshops, interview skill workshops, LinkedIn profile if you need to set that up, and then prepping for your job fair. We can also, after you attend these different workshops, we're able to work with you one-on-one, and we have an interest form that Erin will put in the chat a little bit later. If you fill that out, our team can reach back out to you, schedule a time, and we can help you fine-tune the resume, prep for that interview. If you want to do mock interviews, our team will do that with you. And we can also help you with a search, whether it's for a job or an internship. Again, a lot of hand-holding with that, and we love working with students in all of those aspects. And then I mentioned the career fairs that I'll highlight more detail later. And then we have a lot of amazing resources on our website that, again, will go in the chat a little bit later. We have our email here if students have questions afterwards. studentjobs@cabrillo.edu is the best way to reach us. All right, and now let's get into the good stuff, the reason everybody's here. So I want to just quickly, I'm not going to talk in depth about each of these folks because I want them to talk about their journey and introduce themselves. But we do have 3 of our 4 speakers were able to make it today. We have Karina Hansen, Linnell Newman, and Rogelio Ponce. Tim was not able to make it today, so I'm sorry if you were wanting to hear from him. He's hoping to participate in a future event though. So I think let's go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can really focus on our speakers. And we're going to start with Karina and have her give us just a 5 to 6 minute overview of kind of her journey and how she got where she is today. Thanks, Karina.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. How are you? I started going to Cabrillo when I was a sophomore in high school. I ended up getting my diploma from a private high school and went straight to Cabrillo and didn't know what I wanted to do. I think my initial major may have been psychology. So changed my major a few times. Then really fell in love with accounting. I've always loved math. So I started doing some accounting courses. At that time, I was working at a medical office, doing a lot of medical billing. So I kept doing my coursework. Then at a certain point, I took a break for a long time. I finally ended up getting my degree when I was 27. I was, I think, 7 months pregnant when I walked in my gown. So I really wanted to do that before I had my kids, and I knew that that was going to take up a lot of my time. So in that time, I started working for family business, a construction business, and construction is all about math and it's all about cash flow. So all of that accounting coursework that I did really, really helped. And then after being at the medical office for 8 years and the family business for 8 years, I realized that me and my partner really wanted to grow that business beyond where the original owners wanted to take it. And so we decided, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go off on our own. So that was a huge risk and one that's paid off. It's been 8 years and we're loving it, but it was scary and we left a lot of job security to do something that we wanted to be able to have a business that didn't have any upward limits, that we could just grow and grow and grow and take risks that, you can't or shouldn't do with a family business. So here we are.
Great. Thank you, Karina. That's wonderful. How many people are in your company currently?
We currently have 25.
Okay. Yeah, so that's growing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. All right, Linnell, if we could have you give your overview.
Right. Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us here. So excited to be with you. My name is Linnell Newman, and I actually grew up in Canada. I immigrated from the Philippines to Canada and went to Wilfrid Laurier University there and got my business administration degree. And shortly after college, I then got a job opportunity at Anderson Consulting, where I stayed there for about 4 years and did a lot of traveling with that job, which landed me in Denver, Colorado. At that time, I started working with Sun Microsystems, doing a lot of project management work that I did similar to what I was doing at Accenture. And then, lo and behold, fell in love with the mountains in Colorado, fell in love with the man who I call my husband today, and made the States be my permanent home. And during that time, we started going overseas due to my husband's job. And so I took a break during that time because while we were in the UK and China, we also had like 2 daughters in tow at that time. However, so I focused more on volunteer work, and I actually did do my Montessori teaching certification. And I quickly learned that teaching was not the career path for me, but I definitely highly respect all of our teachers. So shortly after being overseas, we went back to the Bay Area, and that's when I started dabbling in startups and doing contracting work. In the healthcare industry, again, all related to technology, systems implementations, new designs of apps and things like that. And then a few years after that, again, took another break because at that point, we then have 4 kids in tow. So I just needed to recalibrate what I needed to do or what I wanted to do from a career standpoint of view, as well as figuring out the right work-life balance. And fortunately, I was talking to a lot of friends who felt that Stanford, which is just, down the street from where I was living, really had a good work-life balance. And so I had an opportunity to apply for a position there. And so I've been at Stanford for 3 years now in the Financial Management Services Strategy Group, doing similar things that I've done in the past: project management, change management with systems implementation, focused on financial systems. So, and this is where I am today now.
Thank you, Linnell. And I will say, with questions later on, if you're not sure what she's referring to in change management and all those other pieces, feel free to put that in the chat, because I know that a lot of times there's different language people use within business, right? That maybe not everyone's familiar with. All right, Rogelio, are you ready to give us your?
Yes. Kai, good morning. Rogelio Ponce here. So my career spans about 20 years, both in and out of agriculture. Straight out of high school, actually, went to UC Davis to attend as a mechanical engineering student. UC Davis was the only school that did not accept me as a mechanical engineering student, but I wanted the name, so I went there. Long and behold, I didn't know I was going to be one student out of 30,000 at that time. So I actually feel like it wasn't the spot for me. So I actually transferred back to Cabrillo, and very proud that I'm a Seahawk. So go Cabrillo. It's like one of the best institutions I can say or speak of very highly. And from there, I actually transferred to San Jose State, and I received my degree in business, and my concentration is in finance. During that time, I actually worked at a number of different positions. I thought my goal was going to be going into the banking world. In particular, I wanted to go into the finance. I wanted to have an office in the Twin Towers, and I wanted to be in New York City and be on Wall Street. Well, probably a good decision that I didn't do that. So actually, during my tenure, I've worked for Wells Fargo. I wanted to be a financial consultant. Then I worked for Citibank, and that's when my current family business that I've been doing now for 20 years presented its opportunity. So my current family business name is Sun Valley Farms, and we grow our own organic line of vegetables and products in Aromas and in the Watsonville area. From that, I was able to begin my own separate business twice over. I've owned 2 companies myself, apart from still running the family business, and I'm still in agriculture today and learning like you guys students every day. So we're now going to be pivoting to an online platform to sell produce. So hopefully someday you'll get a box from Sun Valley Farms produce directly delivered to your house. And so that kind of just is a quick overview of my career. I've dabbled a little bit in real estate. I've dabbled in development as well. So can kind of share that as well. But welcome, guys. And I'm here to participate and try to answer and maybe learn from things that were good and bad. That way you don't have to go through them. So thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. It's wonderful hearing everyone's overview. So, and again, there's a lot to pack in 5 minutes. So I know that's challenging for everybody. What I want to do is I have a few other questions that I want to throw out there. And again, if you have any, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we can get to those as well. But Karina, let's start with you on this next question. Can you talk about if there was one turning point along your journey that led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I think, we were working, my previous company was a glazing company. So we were specifically working with glass and all things glass. And we started noticing that customers were asking us to do other services. And they said, can you install these lights? And, can you move this wall? And, they wanted, and so we quickly realized that what we were giving people was, it was trust, we were building relationships really, and that we could do so much more with those relationships if we had a broader kind of service offering, you know, and so we took on another partner who was a general contractor. And so now we are a general contractor. We do construction and engineering, specifically projects that focus on energy, you know, and that was a big part of what we wanted, was to be able to have, you know, to make an impact environmentally. That was really important to us when we were starting. So I'd say, yeah, the biggest turning point was just realizing that you know, a good business starts with building good relationships, and B, having a mission that you're really passionate about, you can really move mountains.
Thank you, Karina. All right, Lynelle, how about you? Was there a certain turning point? I know I feel like you had a few, but what would be kind of your main one, if you could think about it that way?
Yeah. So I think my main one would be like just trying to figure out for me personally what the right work-life balance is, and you know, and being able to define my boundaries. At the start of my career, I was working 60, 80 hours weeks. 60, 80 hours per week. And I thought that was normal. I didn't know any better. And I was being rewarded for that. And so I kept at it, right? And then of course that seemed to be sustainable when you know, you don't have responsibilities of families and things like that. And then I realized that, you know, now that that wasn't a sustainable work-life balance. And so that was just a turning point for me, mainly because I needed to better understand for myself what was important, and what I could do to contribute to my team and my peers and things like that, and what I really needed to focus on. And to Karina's point, it is a lot about relationships. And I think my main motto is about being a humble servant. And that's really about serving your peers, your supervisors, and the people who are also working for you, like everyone around you. And as well as just having more of a focus, and that grounded me in whatever I was doing, because from just the experience I was having, I wasn't doing things well because I was focusing on more of work versus what I needed to do on the family front. And so that was a turning point for me, because I knew things needed to change.
Great, thanks, Lynelle. All right, Rogelio, you're up.
That one's actually easy. So I'm going to give you my prop that reminds me every day. This is it right here. I don't know if you guys can you guys see that? There we go. You guys see the name on that there? It's Dole. I've been in the agriculture industry and being in the family business for so long. We had very many successful years. And in 2013, the labor situation turned our business upside down, basically. And I had to make a tough choice of whether I was going to continue the family business or what the next chapter of my career was. At that time, I was very heavily involved in the agriculture, specifically the strawberry business. And I'd have to say, one thing that I want to share is, in business, there may be times when nobody tells you good job. And you're going to have to believe that deep down inside in yourself, and you're going to have to trust your skills. That is a reminder, because I was offered the vice presidency of Dole's fruits and vegetables berry division. From a standpoint of a career, that's big. Like, they were considering closing the strawberry business down, and I was offered basically to run the strawberry division and get it out of what it was. I went there 2 days to work. I went, and this was a long conversation I had to have with my wife. They offered me the sweetest package I had ever seen, and I could probably still be to that day working there. That was my turning point, when I realized my skills and set that what I had acquired over the last 15, 20 years was even more than what I had anticipated. And when I was there, I realized, why am I going to work for someone else solving their problems when I can just do it myself. And so I think that was a realization of the skill set that I needed someone else. And you shouldn't have to do that, but being so long in the industry, it was sort of gratifying knowing that someone else was able to see the skills that I acquired in our industry. And that was very flattering. And I said, thank you, but no thank you. And that's when I decided to reinvent our family business. So that's an easy one. I know it's pretty crazy, but that was given by a friend, and I keep it on my desk, and I haven't eaten it yet, but I will someday. Once I reach my goal, I'll pop that open and have my Dole tropical fruit, because that was my vice presidency.
I love it. That's great.
Funny.
It's so great hearing everybody's stories and just learning, you know, everyone has their own journey, and figuring out what that is and how that's going to lay out sometimes is not at all what you expected, right? I think that's what we all find. All right, next question. And you may have kind of dabbled in this a little bit, but what would you say has been your biggest challenge along your journey? And again, that can be business, personal, but what would be the biggest challenge that you have? And Karina, we'll start with you.
I think once we started the business, I realized that our biggest challenge was going to be hiring, and that we were hiring people for skill and they were not a good cultural fit. And it was incredibly hard, and we've let a lot of people go, and we've had a lot of people leave, not on bad terms, but just leave sooner than, you know, you would expect. And we realized finally that what was important to us was, you know, teamwork, and that people, you know, I think when you're interviewing for a job, you want to say the things that you think you need to get hired. So my advice would be totally honest. It's got to be a good fit both ways. And if you're not a team player, that's okay. There's a lot of places out there that have remote work, you know, but we here do everything as a team. And so we were hiring people who were saying, yeah, I'm a team player, you know, and really deep down, that wasn't what they wanted. That wasn't where they, you know, thrived, was in that team environment. So I think we've gotten better at hiring. We've gotten better at asking the right questions. We've gotten better at identifying maybe not the skills that are the most important, but is this person, are we going to get along? Because ultimately you end up spending more time at work sometimes than with your family. And so you really want to enjoy the people that you work with and feel comfortable where you can tell each other the truth, and be really open and honest.
Great, thanks, Karina. Linnell, how about you? Your biggest challenge?
Let's see. So I think the biggest challenge I've had, you know, goes along the lines with what Karina was saying in terms of like the right fit. I've had opportunities to, you know, go through succession planning and take somebody else's role as a director or a VP and go down that trail and go down that journey. And I had to like take a pause on that, and which it was great to realize that I had the potential and the skill set to be able to do that, and like been able to build that experience to have the opportunity to go at a higher level. But I didn't want to, because I knew it would potentially compromise my family. And especially as my older kids are in high school, I needed to focus on that. And that's just been really hard personally, because of course I want to climb up that ladder and like get the title. But I know that it comes with a cost. And right now, again, like for me, it's just being able to do that work-life balance. Even though it's a sacrifice for me right now, or a compromise, it's a compromise I'm willing to take now, and then continuing to revisit it on a yearly basis to see if that would be, if the opportunity comes up again, if that's something I would want to do. But it's a personal struggle for me.
Great, thanks, Linnell. Rogelio, biggest challenge for you?
I think that, well, I think being in business for oneself, there's a lot of challenges, I would say, right? Kurt? But I don't know if there's just one. I think there's maybe, if I can just share very briefly two. One is the leadership component. The leadership component to be candid with individuals, but being honest and firm and fair. That's a challenge, and especially today in our culture with very fast pace, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all those things are great for business, but at the end of the day, it's still one-on-one. It's one person interacting with another person, as an employer to an employee or employee to employee. I think that's very important to be able to just have a candid, open conversation. Another one, so that the leadership component is one. And the other one I would say is not to underestimate the importance of people first, which goes with leadership. Our motto is people first, and it has been for a very long time. I had to hire a friend who was a consultant. I was in a rigorous 2-year class with her, and it's people first. I would say if you can understand, if you deal with people, you have to understand and answer the question for them, what is in it for them. And if you understand what's in it for them and you can get them on your team, you will have success as a team. But they have to be vested in what your vision is as a leader. So leadership and people are just like the biggest things that I would say. Business, you'll learn the financing, you'll learn the spreadsheets, you're going to do that. But the dealing with people, it's ever evolving. And the more you can surround yourself with people, this is crazy to say, but I now like the people that I have been most challenged from because I've learned from them, so, and that's hard to say. So people and leadership.
That's great. That it can be challenging to say for sure. Thank you so much. All right. So the next question is, what advice would you give a student that's pursuing a business degree and or wanting to start their own business, right? So depending on your angle, you can answer this a couple different ways. And Karina, we'll start with you.
I strongly believe that everybody has a superpower. They have one thing that they're amazing at that they likely don't realize, that it's not universal that everybody is amazing at that, so I would say, look really hard to figure out what your superpower is, because it's likely something that you do, you don't notice it, you could probably do it, easily for the rest of your life without getting exhausted, so lean into what is unique about you. When we're looking at one of our recent hires, he had written down at the bottom is that he doesn't have any real skills that we were looking for at the time, or that necessarily you would imagine would be a perfect fit for our business, but he put his reading list of his favorite books at the bottom of his resume. And I, as an avid reader, thought that was fascinating, and so there were also some of the same titles that I had read, so think about, what are you interested in? Some people are surprised by the trajectory of my career. My dad laughs and says she's been playing with Legos, and counting pennies since she was 3. So he's not surprised at all. So just look at that and think real hard about that. And I think that in the end, you will find that perfect fit for you if you can find out what that superpower is.
That's great. I love the superpower. All right, Linnell, how about you? What advice would you give a student?
Yeah, I kind of echo what Rogelio was saying in terms of people first. And I mentioned this earlier in terms of being a humble servant. And that's really about what's your guiding principle in terms of your work ethic, right? Because even things like COVID, the implications of COVID, and without having that guiding principle of people first and being a humble servant, it's really challenging to actually get the work done, regardless if it's business or nonprofit or whatever industry you may want to be in, right? Like taking some time to understand what your guiding principle is. And I choose humble servant because it's just something that both my husband and I just, and we instill in our kids, like even in the things that they do with their athletics and their academics. It's just being a humble servant and being able to be, use superpowers like being empathetic and using being an empathetic leader, things like that. So I think that's kind of like my general advice is like, what is your guiding principle in how you show up, right? And how you do your work in business or whatever industry and work that you decide to do.
Great, thanks, Leno. And I want to acknowledge there's a couple questions in the chat. We're going to handle those after we have about 2 more questions that we're going to go through with the panelists, and then we'll open it up to the questions and answer those. All right, Rogelio, what advice would you give?
I'm going to be pretty heartfelt with this one because I want to make sure that I was a Cabrillo student and I was an accounting student. I was there sitting at the desk one time. I had so much expectations and goals. And you want to follow your dreams and you want to follow your goals. And I believe that through being involved in business, you create more opportunities for other individuals. And it's very challenging sometimes. And I would say at a very young age, I had very high aspirations. I'm going to share with you, when I was asked in 2nd grade by my teacher, they asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? So I was raised by my grandmother, didn't know very much English at first in 2nd grade. And I was asked in 2nd grade, what do you want to do? And I looked at my 2nd grade teacher and said, I want to be the president of the United States. That to me still is like, who the hell says that, right? I didn't know that it would morph into being a business owner and the things that that have presented themselves. But I say that because my level of aspirations was high at a very young age. And even to this day, sometimes I challenge myself in looking at where I want to be and what I want to do. I would say if you're looking into being your own business owner or whether you're looking at your career path, love yourself and give yourself the time to grow. You know, I'm now going to be 46 this year. And I feel like, oh, you know what? I'm barely getting, excuse my language, my you know what together. Life is going to be forever. I mean, we're all here for a finite amount of time, but don't pressure yourself from what you see other individuals doing. Allow yourself to find your superpower, like Karina was saying. Allow yourself to learn. And I also believe in being a very humble servant, but being loving to yourself and in your career, you know, and it's okay if you tried something and you fail at it and you go on to the next thing. That just means that you cross that off your bucket list. I mean, if I could just tell you how many things I failed at, you'd be like, dude, this guy's like, shouldn't even be talking to us. But that's experience, you know, that's experience. Give yourself the ability to experience. And just, I would say, don't fall into the trap of like, hey, look at my friend started this business and now they're doing $1 million a year. And you're like, oh, wait, I'm still in school. No, stay on your path, do what you need to do, love yourself, get your education. Your time will come. Believe in that. Believe in yourself.
Great, thank you. You guys are motivating me all over the place with all this. I love it. All right, I have two more questions, and then we'll open it up for everyone. So the next one, sort of related, but to the previous, but what skills, both on the technical side and the soft skills, right? So the employability skills, however you want to refer to those, do you think are needed within your field? Okay, so what technical and then soft skills? And obviously there could be a whole long list, so maybe you pick a couple of each. Karina, we'll start with you.
I would say with construction and engineering, math is, top of the list. Everything in construction is to do with math, whether you're dealing with the finance or you're out in the field. Because we do a lot of energy projects, there's a lot of modeling involved. We're looking at all things. You got to incorporate interest rates and, inflation and so building out those models and being able to detect patterns. But I would say the most important thing, because again, like he said, you can learn that. You can learn spreadsheets, you can learn on the job, is just communication. And I know everybody probably says that, but as a business owner, I can't stress enough. And I think COVID exacerbated it so much because we were remote. We were mildly prepared, we have communication tools like Slack, but it showed the gaps in where we were missing each other and how much that affected our productivity. So I would say, communication, learning how to say what you need to say in a concise way, we don't need all those extra words, and learning how to discuss topics in meetings, and when is it appropriate to take a pause and listen, and when is it appropriate to jump in, and all those things. I think any job that you're going to have play a huge role in how successful and how impactful you're going to be on the organization.
Great, thanks, Karina. Linnell, how about you? What skills do you think students need?
Yeah, so in the career path I've done was a lot of like systems implementation with project management and change management. And change management is really about helping people move from doing their business from one way to another with like new technology, new processes, et cetera. So in that kind of context, the soft skills are the most foundational because you're constantly working with people. And clearly the technical skills like understanding, Oracle and Salesforce, all these big systems, ERP systems is good, but it's always evolving. So, it's good to have like the basis or the foundational skills from a technical perspective, but know that you don't necessarily you're constantly learning, right? So similar to what like Rogelio said earlier in terms of take the time to learn and love yourself, and that your time will come. That I feel like from a soft and hard skills, like those soft skills are really foundational to then build upon those more technical skills that are constantly evolving, because those soft skills are also evolving, and because there's so many different people. That's why I feel like that seems to be, if I were to prioritize in terms of skills, it would be the soft skills that's more of a priority than the technical skills.
Great, thanks, Linnell. Rogelio.
Can you repeat the question, Des? I just want to make sure that I'm on point here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
So what skills do you think students need going into business? And it's both on the technical side and also the soft skills.
Okay. On the technical side, correct. There is always, I would say, something of a new ERP. I'm not the greatest. I'm knowledge, I'm Excel by far is my go-to. I know maybe it's archaic, whatever, but there's Salesforce, there's ERPs, there's everything. If you can have a solid, like a basic understanding of what those systems can provide or how to utilize them, you don't have to be an expert in them, but and you're going to learn that on the job, I would say. because each employer is going to have a different need. Whether if you choose to work for a smaller business like ourselves or a large business, the needs are going to change. So but your foundation will lead you to what you need to learn in order to make a difference or impact in that business. So a good foundation, of understanding of in the technical field. When I say that, it could be Excel, it could be Salesforce, it could be whatever ERP you may be looking at in the area that you're going into on the technical side. But then again, that is only okay if you have the soft skills, which I would say is probably, and this is just my humble opinion, of the two, you can learn that. But on the soft skills, I think it gets overlooked quite a bit. The one-to-one, being able to sit down with a business owner, with a president, with a janitor, with anybody, think of the soft skills of your team. You're going to be in a situation where you need to pull from a team at one point, and you're going to have to work with that person you most dislike. That is going to be the challenge, working with the person that you most dislike, or the person that doesn't have the same education as you or more than you. You're going to have to find a way to communicate with that person, whether you like it or not. So just do it. So the soft skills is really important. How you interact with people. When I sit down with an interview with someone, I'm like, okay, talk to me. Who are you? What are you doing? What are you about? I want to know their personality. Then we'll talk technical skills. So those two things, they are very important, but don't ever underestimate the soft skills. I teach my kids, if you can't look at someone in the eye when you do a handshake, I'm doing something wrong as a father, because I'm not teaching you, how to strike up a conversation, just randomly, just, practice, do it out on the street. I know it sounds dumb, but if you're ever on the bus, be like, hey, so how's it going today? It's like those little things, people will notice, that you're outgoing. It's like, if you come in and you're like, you could be the brainchild of the next genius, I don't know what, but if you can't interact with people, all your might of what you have up here is going to be like, we'll find someone else. Thank you. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to just mention, I work with a lot of employers, and they are basically echoing everything that you're saying, that the soft skills piece is so important, that they really value that. They know students are coming out of Cabrillo or Hartnell or MPC with the skills, the technical skills, but do they have those soft skills? And just for the students here, just to elaborate a little more, we've talked about the communication aspect, but it's also problem solving, collaborative work, teamwork. Those are all involved when we talk about soft skills. So really, really important for students to be thinking about that. All right, we have one last question. I'm actually just gonna, I think with time wise, we'll see how this goes. Linnell, I wanna talk about the fact that you participated in an internship while you were in college. And so I want you to just talk about the benefits of that. And before you do that, I do want to just mention, for our students, we really encourage you to take advantage of internships. And that is something that we have had quite a few business and accounting internships open up this last year, and we're increasing those opportunities. I really want you to be thinking about that. And Linnell, let's hear about what your experience was like.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So my school had, similar to what Desha was saying, in terms of resources available for internships. So I had the opportunity to do 3 internships while I was in college and be able to kind of get a sense of what I really wanted to do, because I wasn't exactly sure. So I did events planning from a marketing perspective. I did accounting as well. And then I did some software engineering and reviewing different software for an engineering company. So what I loved about that was that from a resource perspective, like the school offering it was low hanging fruit, right? Like I had all these resources available. I had on-campus interviews. So it just felt like, you know, the opportunity was there, and I wanted to apply the theory of the classroom to my actual work. And it was a safe place. The folks who had interviewed me took me under my wing in the variety of work that I was doing, and I'd learned, you know, and also had some autonomy to like take things differently. So, for example, the event planning I was doing, I was for the city of Sarnia. I was focused on one of the key events for the summer, which is the Highland Games. And they just kind of gave me the budget and autonomy to do the work. Versus from my accounting internship, they really guided me in terms of how to do like month close and the journal entries. Like they did, you know, that wasn't anything like I couldn't do that autonomously, right? So it was just like a really good experience to be able to learn from different folks and learn from those different experiences. And that really helped me when it came to on-campus interviewing after I had received my degree, because I was able to draw from my intern experience to be able to say like how I was able to use my leadership skills, how I was able to use my collaboration and teamwork skills, right? And also be able to apply some of like the technical things in terms of the different systems we were using. So it just allowed me to have that experience to draw upon when I was looking for my next steps post college graduation.
Great, thank you, Lynelle. All right, I know, Erin, we have a few questions in the chat, so let's see if we can answer those. Do you want to go ahead and let us know what they are?
Yeah, I want to circle back to one of the first questions we received. And I think this is largely for Karina, but anyone else can hop in too. You were talking about superpowers and how everyone has a superpower. So someone asked, what if you know you have many superpowers? Which do you choose? I feel like I've been trying to narrow my talent niche for the last 2 years when I lost my career.
I guess I would say you don't have to choose. And I know that that's probably not the answer you were looking for, but my best advice would be to read a book called Everything is Figure Outable. It's this fantastic book by this author. Her name is Marie Forleo, and she talks a lot about being what she calls a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So she had to make a choice between, you know, being an author and having this television show where she offers advice to people. And she really wanted to be a dancer, and she was really passionate about both. And so I would say, read the book. She's got a lot of great advice about how we don't have to choose, you know, that we are taught that we have to have this one skill, but that it is possible to have passions that are very different, but that can serve your life.
Does anyone else want to jump in? Have any
Mahalo.
other thoughts on that question from our panel?
Do we have a couple more questions as
Yeah,
well?
we have one more question here. If you have an idea to start a small business, but it's going to take you a while to do it, how can you build an efficient plan? To be more specific, I would like to start a small business on the side, but I'm a full-time college student and have never done a business before. How can I start planning, or how do I begin? Is it even a good idea for a college student to start a small business?
All right, who wants to take that?
I can try to do that, because even though I've not started a small business, I've worked with a lot of my friends who are also moms trying to do things on the side, right? And I know this is not necessarily specific, but just do it, right? If you need to create an app, or if you need to, you know, there's a little bit of that trial and error where you start something, you give it a try, and even starting like something small, like just putting like, who do you think what audience are you targeting towards? And just having some of those conversations of like, like specificity in terms of what you want to do and just trying it out. So that is just kind of like my thoughts in terms of what, if you want to start a small business or try something new and different, is just, start taking those bite size and try not to boil the ocean and give it a go.
Thanks, Linnell. Rogelio, it looked like you were going to jump in on that one.
Yeah, I would just say start slow. It's okay. I mean, for a little while, I myself still manage my own business, and I don't know where I find the time, but for a long time, one of my things was I was actually pursuing my master's through Golden Gate University to become a CPA candidate to get my CPA license. Thought it'd be useful for my business. So when COVID hit, I didn't know how agriculture would be hit. So I soft skills. I have been involved in philanthropy in our community for a long time. I sit on a number of boards within the community. And one of those particular agencies that I know needed a finance manager. So I actually, apart from running my two businesses, am a contract employee for a local nonprofit agency that's a homeless shelter. And I do their books in the evening, in between Ubering my kids around, which is challenging. And I love it. But I soon realized that I like what I'm doing as far as creating the business that I've been doing. Because for a long time, I was like, what am I going to do if farming or just doesn't turn out? So I said, I'm going to become a CPA. I'm going to focus in on agriculture, monolingual speakers. I'm bilingual. I can communicate with them. I'll specialize in agriculture and help small farmers. And man, I'm doing the year end, the closing of the books, the reconciliation, and the more and more I do it, I'm like, this is not what it's cracked up to be. I'm doing it because it is. I get to use another skill set of mine, but can I see myself doing it for the rest of my life? Probably not. But I love it. So I would say explore it if you can. You don't have to have. If there's something of interest, maybe if you can volunteer a few hours, or if you can learn more about it, to educate yourself about it, because it may or may not be what you actually want to do. And then if you like it, then there's those resources out there, like the small business. I think it's at Cabrillo, and Desha can maybe speak to that, and maybe you can develop a plan, but kind of taste it, a little bit beforehand. You don't have to go 100% volunteer. I mean, there's different levels. I mean, it'd be great if you could be paid for it, but I'm sure it's hard being a full-time college student. So, or read about it, or explore about it, because maybe at the end of the day, it is something you like or it isn't. But I'm just giving you my own experience that I was like, oh, I'll build this accounting firm specializing in agriculture, and I'll specialize. Then all of a sudden I'm there and I'm doing it. I'm like, no, thank you. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to just expand on the Small Business Development Center at Cabrillo is a great resource for folks that are even thinking about starting a business. And again, it's on Cabrillo's campus. So you can find that. I think Aaron just put in the chat as well. All right. I can't believe our time is coming to an end. I do want to talk about our upcoming career fairs, but I want to thank our panelists. You guys have been amazing. I loved having you here today. And I know you're all extremely busy, so we really appreciate your time and sharing your wisdom. I am going to share my screen again and jump over. Hopefully it's going to let me go forward. Nope, it doesn't want to do that. Let's jump. It likes to freeze when I pop in and out. So we're going to try this again because I do want to share. While we're doing this, Aaron, if you could put in the chat the link for the career fairs, that would be wonderful. And I will pop this in. All right, So as I mentioned in the beginning, we have Career Month coming in April, and we have 6 different career fairs happening. They are related to your CAPS, the career and academic pathways. So the one on the 6th is the business one in combination with creative arts and design. That one is a virtual event. We are having one in-person career fair. Super excited. COVID, post-COVID, we get to be in person again. That one is going to be open to all of our CAPS. And so we're expecting anywhere from 30 to 40 employers for that one on campus, an outdoor event. The next one is Global and Human Studies, again, virtual. We have a STEM one, again, virtual on the 20th. The 28th is our Health and Public Service virtual event. And then if you are interested in working on campus, we have a large number of positions on campus each year, and hopefully we're going to have more since we're going back more in person. But in a non-COVID year, we have about 600 student assistant positions available, and that will be the event you'll want to come to if you're interested in looking at those options. We also are providing workshops throughout that month, usually one a week. And so to get the full list of details and to register for all of these events, you can go to the link here, and Erin is also putting it in the chat. All right. I think that about wraps it up. We're going to end with 2 minutes early. I know there were probably a couple other questions in the chat, but we are going to have to respect everyone's time, especially our panelists. And again, thank you everyone for coming. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. God
Thanks, you
bless.
guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.